frankly, if what is written in The Atlantic is true, it's disgusting. And it affirms what most of us believe to be true, that Donald Trump is not fit to be the job of president, to be the commander-in-chief. The president reportedly said, and I emphasize reportedly said, that those who sign up to serve instead of doing something more lucrative are suckers. Let me be real clear. When my son was an assistant U.S. attorney and he volunteered to go to Kosovo while the war was going on as a civilian, he wasn't a sucker. When my son volunteered and joined the United States military as the Attorney General and went to Iraq for a year, won the Bronze Star and other commendations, he wasn't a sucker. The servicemen and women he served with, particularly those who did not come home, were not losers. If these statements are true, the President should humbly apologize to every Gold Star mother and father and every Blue Star family that he's denigrated and insulted. Who the heck does he think he is? Is it true? Well, we've heard from his own mouth his characterizations of an American hero, John McCain, as a loser in 2015. Donald Trump said he was not a war hero. I like people who weren't captured. Well, good for him. And his dismissal of the traumatic brain injuries suffered by troops serving in Iraq as mere headaches not too long ago. He stood by, failing to take action or even raise the issue with Vladimir Putin, while the Kremlin puts bounties on the heads of American troops in Afghanistan. It's a sacred duty. And you're tired of hearing me say this. Those of you who've been covering me for years know. I get in trouble for saying it, but I'm going to say it again. We have many obligations as a government. We only have one truly sacred obligation. Equip and support those who we send into harm's way, care for their families while they're gone, and care for them when they are home. That's the only truly sacred obligation a government has. Duty, honor, country. These are values that drive our service members. It's an all-voluntary outfit. President Trump has demonstrated he has no sense of service, no loyalty to any cause other than himself. And if I have the honor of being the next commander-in-chief, I will ensure that our American heroes know I'll have their backs, honor their sacrifice, and those who have been injured will be in military parades. I'm always cautioned not to lose my temper. This may be as close as I've come in this campaign.
This morning, in reference to that article in The Atlantic, in a call convened by your campaign, Khizr Khan said that the comments demonstrated that President Trump's life is a testament to selfishness, and that his soul is that of a coward. You've talked about this as a different view of how you see the job as president, but when you hear these remarks, suckers, losers, recoiling from amputees, what does it tell you about President Trump's soul and the life he leads?
I'm going to try to be measured in my response. If it's true, and based on other things he said, I believe the article is true, I'd ask you all the rhetorical question. How do you feel? How would you feel if you had a kid in Afghanistan right now? How would you feel if you lost a son, daughter, husband, wife? How would you feel, for real? I know that's not your job to express that feeling, but you know. You know in your heart, you know in your gut. It's deplorable. It's deplorable. As I've said many times, I'll say again, these folks are the backbone of America. They're the heart, the soul, the grit. That's what patriotism is about. I've just never been as disappointed in my whole career with a leader that I've worked with, president or otherwise, that if the article is true and it appears to be based on other things he said, it is absolutely damnable. It is a disgrace.
Let me ask you about another thing the president said last night. He once again suggested to his supporters that they should consider voting twice if they're in one of those states that can allow you to request an absentee ballot. Say, fill that out and then go try voting again in person. State officials have said it's a felony in some cases. Just curious what you make of it.
It is. It is a felony. It'd be a felony here in the state of Delaware. Look, I mean, how many times does this president have to suggest things and say things where you all don't just write, he's a fraud? Not an opinion. He wanted to, maybe we should delay the election. Maybe we should, write-in ballots are fraudulent, not a single bit of evidence. It just is, and I think it's all designed to create so much chaos that no matter what the outcome of the election is, that it's thrown up in the air. That must be his reason because, he says and does things that no other president that I'm aware of in American history has ever done. And we all go, well, there's another ridiculous, illegal, inappropriate thing he said, but we says so many of them, it doesn't matter. It is, it just undermines the legitimacy of our democratic process, and it's dangerous.
You said today is the angriest you've been as a presidential candidate, but you said you're trying to restrain yourself. There are a lot of people out there who are supporting you or are inclined to not vote for the president who would say, why isn't Joe Biden angrier about all of this?
Because presidents of the United States should be presidential and should lead by example, as well as make clear exactly where they stand. Getting down in the gutter like the president does, saying things that I'd be inclined if we were behind a barn somewhere, would be a different thing. But that's not the job of a president. The job of a president is to set an example. My anger is real because I must tell you, I carry, and I deliberately didn't bring with me today, Delaware National Guard had a pin made up. That's a gold star that was made up for my son, Bo, who didn't die in the field. And I always carry it with me. And I didn't carry it today because I was worried that if I focused too much on it, that I would engage in some of the kind of language the president has used. But I just think it is sick. It is deplorable. It is so un-American. It is so unpatriotic. And then watching him this morning, while I was shaving and the TV on, talking about he never said anything like that. He honored John McCain. He's the reason why flags were flown at half-mast. Oh, wasn't that noble of him? He's the same guy that when the ship went into harbor, he made sure the USS McCain was covered. You couldn't see it. He's the same guy that denigrated John. He's the same guy who did a similar thing where he talked about George H.W. Bush, who was shot down in the Pacific. I mean, but he just stands there. It's almost pathological. I've never said anything like that. No one's been better to the military. I've just got to focus on what has to be done, not what he did, what I do from here, what gets done from